loaded up into the lead at the start of the race, but they dropped back down the order. In the LMP3 category, just about every place on track was being disputed. The Racing Team Thor car looking for the lead, and Andy Merrick being tagged into a big high-speed spin at the Dunlop chicane. That put that United Autosport car out of contention. And then in what was the last full racing lap, the BMW moving into the lead because a couple of stranded cars would bring out a safety car to finish the race under caution. And the end result was the BMW claiming victory in the GT3 class, and overall victory going for the first time here at Le Mans to the Virage team. And they were justifiably delighted with that result. BMW also thrilled to have their first win in GT at Le Mans.
Yeah.
So it was a 50-minute encounter, all arms and elbows, and I'm not entirely certain that today's race is going to be a very great deal different in that.
I'm entirely certain it will be completely not different, completely similar, if anything, a little bit more crazy. Yet that's not got quite enough weight at the front there. That has it towing the multiple tyre trailers behind. This is the Circuit de la Sarthe, 13.6 kilometres, and fabulously familiar to fans of endurance racing, and this is the big attraction of the season for the Michelin Le Mans Cup runners. Corners of repute around the world, from the start through Dunlop Curve, the Forest Esses, Tête Rouge, down the Honneur d'Hier, the two chicanes along there, down to Mulsanne Corner, the run down to Indianapolis, the fastest part of this track now, Indianapolis itself, Arnage, and through to the Porsche curves and Ford chicane to complete the lap. These are the crews waiting to get to their stations on the main pit lane. They will be stationed in front of the pit garages for the Le Mans 24-hour runners themselves.
Doesn't look like much of a change in the weather. 26 degrees of air temperature, 40 degrees of track temperature, relatively light breeze, but there is a change in the air. There's heavy, hazy cloud overhead, and we are expecting storms later in the day. Well, CD Sport will start on pole position here, ahead of the WTM by Rinaldi racing car. Number 33 was crashed into in the first lap of yesterday's race. They had a tough time. 87 Cool Racing, they were involved in an incident. Racing Spirit of Le Mans, they had 2 wins here last year, that team, so again, look out for them to fare well. And again, you don't have to start your gentleman driver, you don't have to start your pro driver, you can choose to do whichever you like to do. Belen Garcia for 360 Racing will start 5th. CD Sports in 6th position ahead of MV2S and Cool Racing. And Graham, a number of these teams with several cars in the field, not just in LMP3, but also a number of multi-car teams in GT3.
And lots of crossover as well as we get into 11th place, one of the Intereuropol cars. They've got 3 cars in this race. Team Tor on the podium yesterday. Team Virage, Martin Rich, that was the winning car from yesterday. M Racing of Van Muller's team with yet another Team Virage Ligier. And then A&S Motorsport, a strong run from them yesterday, the 3rd of the Intereuropol cars at 18th. Racing Spirit Le Mans, the championship winners last year, on the next row with DK Engineering, multiple championship winners, and Nielsen Racing, winners here in previous years, with Tony Wells on the other new teammate this season. United Autosport's been looking for a better day today. Edex Sport, another of the teams represented on the Le Mans 24 grid. Lead car in the GT order, it is Jerome Policon, the co-driver of Valentino Rossi, that will lead away the GT teams. Racing Spirit Le Mans also well up the order in the GT ranks with their number 10 Aston Martin, was started by Arnaud Robin, another of our double duty drivers for the Le Mans 24 Hours proper, and on it goes. It is a stacked grid of 58 cars, and that is, if I recall correctly, 38 LMP3s and 20 GT3s.
Well, there's the 31 BMW that won in GT3 yesterday. Again, yesterday didn't start so high up the order, but they had a little bit of the rub of the green in the racing and good pace to back it up, and they made the pass for the lead just before the safety car came out at the end. So that was very handy timing for them. It did sort of negate the chance of the HCR Porsche to come back at them. And we're not hearing yet that there will be any absentees from the grid. Stella Motorsport on their debut in the series, their first race here at Le Mans. They had a good race yesterday with that Audi, in the top 3 all the way through. And again, we've got a number of LMP3 cars mixed in with the GT3s. The LMP3 cars should be quicker, but that didn't always work out in qualifying. With so many cars in qualifying, the chances of getting a clean lap were fairly slender. So if you did, then you look like a hero. If you didn't, like DKR's number 3 car there, then suddenly you look like you've got absolutely no chance at all. But that is a multiple championship winning team. The number 3 car has always been the number 1 bullet in their gun. So expect that car to try and make up ground.
And one of the few teams in this race that are starting their pro driver, James Winslow, will start from the very back of the grid. Expect him to make very rapid progress, and as long as he can keep away from any contact incidents that are going to happen in the very early stages of this race, because that, as we saw yesterday, it's a strategy that some of the teams took. Put the pro driver in, including Wayne Boyd, for instance. It didn't pay off because there was too much interruption.
There was a safety car,
and it negated the advantage of the pace.
Well, for instance, that United car, that DKR car, is one of a clump of 5 LMP3s with only 1 GT3 in the entire field behind them. So they're all going to be trying to make their way past slower GT3 cars. And of course, they're all going to be looking for the same bit of track. Down there in the centre of the shot, that's the Piste Alain Prost, the huge karting area that's here at Le Mans. And down there you can see all the cars lined up, the LMP3 cars. They're lined in 2 rows, so they're basically already in their grid positions, and they will come out behind the safety car, and they will have 1 formation lap before they take the rolling start for 50 minutes. It's a maximum of 13 laps or 50 minutes. And the pit window will be open between minutes 20 and 30, so around the middle of the race.
If you joined us yesterday for race 1, there is one very important update to give you, and that is there was a change to the overall race winner. There was a penalty for the winning car, just had that confirmed.
Okay.
And it is actually therefore going to be the Nielsen racing car, Matt Bell and John Melsom actually take the win. Colin Noble, Alden Gudmundsson for Team Tour, the Icelandic flag team, will be second, and it is the Cool Racing 97 car. Louis San Juan and David Drew complete the overall podium in that race, and that is because of, I think, 2 infringements. Believe the winning car overtook the safety car.
Okay, so that's generally regarded as a fairly elementary no-no. Interesting then that the incident between the 97 Cool Racing car of David Drew and the United car of Andy Merrick, it was not judged to be the fault by the stewards of David Drew, although it was his car that made contact with the back of Merrick's that spun Merrick into the barriers in the Dunlop curve. So clearly they regarded that as 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. So, okay, well, I've only just printed out the official result 10 minutes ago before we came on air, and it has changed since then. So that has taken a while. As you can see, Marshall's doing a lot of sweeping, and hopefully the fans doing a lot of sheltering from the sun and hydrating. Temperatures have been in the 30s here all week, and most of last week as well. You can see how green your grass isn't. That's not a gravel trap, that's grass. So it has been a fairly dry couple of weeks, but we are expecting the weather to break possibly later on this afternoon, and again possibly during race weekend. Just having a conversation with somebody who's boarding the Eurotunnel going, I can't believe it's going to rain in the race, having just sat at home and watched the glorious weather all week long. So yeah, we'll be rushing back to our caravans in the TV compound and shutting the roof vents at the end of this race.
It's been an astonishing week in all sorts of ways here at the Le Mans 24 Hours, the centenary edition of the Le Mans 24 Hours, in which this forms part of the support package, part of the build-up through the week. Weather has been amazing, the track's been amazing, the level of...
We've been amazing.
I know you certainly have. I'd like to think I've been at least halfway towards your stratospheric levels. These guys and girls have been absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
If you're here at Le Mans and listening in to this commentary, if you see one of these guys or these crews, and they're standing in the queue for one of the snack bars, one of the concession stands, let them go ahead. Show them some respect and appreciation, because without them, we couldn't be here. We couldn't be doing this. They're amazing.
Absolutely right. We've seen them around all week from scrutineering. Actually, when they're not in the orange overalls, they're also easy to spot, because most of them will be wearing their centenary caps, which got a blue front with the 100 years logo, and on the back, across the back of the fastening of the cap, it says Commissaire du Piste. Now, there's a vintage hat on that young bear.
It's the bare minimum they could do, really.
Oh, very good. I like that. And actually, there's a very international flavour to everything here at Le Mans. Not just the teams, not just the drivers, not just the fans, not just the organisation, but the marshals as well. There are lots and lots of marshals from the UK and other parts of Europe here. It's not just French crews. We've got marshals and corner workers who come from the US. I mean, who wouldn't want to work at Le Mans? And most of all, who wouldn't want to work at the centenary race? I mean, that's another thing for all these crews. It's not just a big points-earning part of their championship. You know, this is the bait on the hook to get people into sports car racing. This is you know, the first step on the ladder up towards the World Championship of Sports Car Racing. And you get to race at Le Mans, not once, but twice. Nobody in the main field gets to race at Le Mans twice.
This is our race control for the Le Mans 24 Hours. Stunning facility. If you think you've got a good setup for watching the Le Mans 24 Hours, trust me, it isn't as good as these, ladies and gentlemen.
And that's not what the commentary booth looks like. Everybody thinks we have got this sea of plasma screens showing us everything that happens.
It's not bad. It's
the
not bad.
pictures you're looking at, those are the pictures we're seeing as well. So we're seeing the same tyre trolleys coming across into the pit lane. We're seeing the same teams and engineers bringing their kit with them. We're seeing the same pictures as you. We have the advantage of a timing screen. You can go and use the WC app and use the timing screen there. You can go to the Le Mans Cup website and find timing and results on there as well. So a good opportunity to, like a lot of fans do, I know, have probably more screens than us, have multiple screens open with timing, with feeds. I know in the main race here at Le Mans as well, a lot of teams, you know, Ferrari and Porsche are bound to have their own streams, so you'll get live onboards from their cars, garage cams and all the other stuff. So there is so many ways of watching this race. In the screen in the background, see one of our commentators here, Thomas Bastien, talking to, that's Kevin Magnussen's dad, isn't it? He's in the race as well.
Nice that he's, you know, basically taken off the carpet slippers, put away the sucky sweets, and come out again to brush the dust off.
Always good to give the old talent a chance,
I think it's lovely.
Yeah.
And the nice thing is they're allowing you to race in the big race as well.
Yeah, care in the community is working.
For old time's sake.
And actually a little stat we talked about the other day, that Jan Magnussen is the joint highest number of starts in the field with 22. In fact, that's not the case. No. Paul Truswell corrected us on that this morning, as always he does, because he knows everything there is to know. Romain Dumas does have 22 starts. One of the 22 starts that has been accredited to Jan Magnussen, the car did not start the race. So the deal is, if your car starts, but you never get to drive it, it is still regarded as a start, certainly by Paul. So this will be Jan's should the car start, will be Jan's 21st Le Mans 24 hours.
I thought it was more than that.
And look at this place. I mean, this place is just absolutely stunning. It's grown and grown over the years. If you look back on social media, you'll see some of the footage. I mean, really footage. I mean, if you think how basic cars were in 1923. Imagine how basic cine cameras, movie cameras were in 1923. There's moving footage of the first race. It started in a hailstorm. That's possibly a tradition we're not keen on repeating here this weekend, but on a very narrow country road. And if you've watched the film Le Mans with Steve McQueen, again, you will see the racetrack as it was in 1970. Very narrow country road with stone kilometre markers, with deep ditches and grass on either side of the little two-lane ribbon of tarmac. And when you consider that 917s and 512s were doing 180 miles an hour, 175 miles an hour through Maison Blanche. Yeah. But back in 1923, it wasn't even a metalled road. It wasn't sealed. It was a dirt road, the same as you'd see in the Thousand Lakes Rally in Finland.
I know I've never done this in the history of ever, but I'm going to correct you, Martin Haven.
Okay, go ahead.
It is actually Jan Magnussen's 25th consecutive Le Mans meeting, but that includes that year where he binned off the Corvette, and so that will be his 24th start.
Okay.
Okay.
That's interesting. I thought we had him and Romain Dumas both on 22 in the Le Mans.
No, I think Romain's done about the same. I'm going to check Romain in a moment. So Jan has been here for every Le Mans 24 hours, including 1999 when he started the Panos Roadster. He is a four-time class winner here, all of them with the Chevrolet Corvette team, and he has featured on the overall podium 5 further times, so 9 occasions. Romain Dumas, meanwhile, we'll check now.
So there is Stella Motorsport, team based in the centre of the UK. last year's British GT4 championship winning team, and their first foray. James Wood bringing the team into the world of continental and European motorsport.
We're under 5 minutes to start the formation lap.
It will be Romain Dumas' 23rd race. The difference is they're all consecutive. And obviously with the withdrawal of the Corvette, that run was ended for Jan some years ago. Yeah, Stella Motorsport, it will be a name not familiar to those who've not been following the British GT Championship in recent years, but Senan Fielding did a very spirited run, didn't he, in the Audi? Took that car to the lead at 1 point. Bit of a fumble through the Porsche curves in battling away with, it was Russell Ward, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, that was one of the factors in yesterday's race, in both classes actually, that there were so many different lead changes. I seem to remember from last year, and again, this is sort of dimly remembered because that was 365 days ago, 364 days ago, because the second race last year was on Saturday morning, not Friday morning, that Spirit of Lemon just ran away with it, certainly in the second race last year. Again, we may get a breakaway, we may get that chance where people start to move away, but it didn't happen yesterday, and it didn't happen because of the first lap safety car. And again, with hundreds of gazillion cars, 58 cars potentially starting, and not necessarily divided into separate classes. We've got quicker LMP3s in amongst the ostensibly slower GT3s. Again, the potential for everybody getting a bit overexcited into one of the chicanes on the Mulsanne straight is definitely there.
Absolutely. You were saying about Racing Spirit Le Mans last year. They were very, very quick. And again, there's a crossover there with the 24 Hours at Le Mans because their professional driver last year was Tom Dillman. Who this year is, of course, in hypercar, so not slow. No. And Tom is a driver of no little experience and no little talent, and that made a big difference. What that's done, by the way, is earn the Racing Spirit Le Mans squad an entry into the European Le Mans series this year in LMP3.
To start the formation lap.
So again, to just remind viewers here, the formation lap will start effectively from the holding area. They'll be released from the holding area onto the main track with the team personnel now placed into pit lane. You can see the convoy of vans there, the guys and girls.
That's not another category of support race, but there are at least enough vans to have one.
Yeah, so many of the pit crew, the required pit crew, have been brought to the pit lane with that, through that. And you can see the other mode of transport, by the way, to the fore, and that is the little white train.
Yeah, little white train.
Anything other than a TGV, but there you go.
Talking of vans, actually, a number of years ago when we were racing on the streets of Porto in Portugal, one of the support races for the World Touring Car Championship was the Portuguese Ford Transit Racing Championship.
No.
Oh my goodness.
We had that.
On the street circuit.
We had that supporting, there's Raymond Narak to the right, long-time Le Mans Series racer. And it was actually Le Mans Series, maybe even an early European Le Mans Series at Portimao we had those supporting. They were standard manual diesel engine transit vans.
And we said there should be a junior learner category with like Transit Connects, and then you graduate to the big vans. You know, come on, you make the ladder.
I had a conversation with one of the championship organisers at Portimao and saying, look, if this was the UK, there's no doubt one would be a postman pack one would an ice cream van. They just would.
Exactly.
It's just the way it works.
Exactly.
But those guys took it very seriously indeed. It was at that stage a heavily promoted championship in Portugal.
You would think that would be the ideal support sort of network for the European Truck Racing Championship.
That'd be great.
Wouldn't that be great? Trucks and vans. White van man, heaven.
There he is. This is, it's got to be said, one of the biggest draws, the biggest draw here.
Yeah.
And,
well, a name and a face that needs no identification from anybody. And Valentino Rossi in his second full season of racing cars. He started in the Fanatec GT series last year. He continues to do that with, you can even see, look, you can see the Sun logo in the background. You can see that's the Valentino effect. He continues with WRT, and WRT not only running him here in the Le Mans Cup, the Michelin Le Mans Cup, but they will also, next year, WRT, be running BMW's hypercar program.
To the start of the formation lap, 30 seconds.
And BMW's GT3 program in the World Championship and here at Le Mans. So you sort of anticipate there might be some valet, place in that program somewhere.
should be said, the GT3 part of it not yet confirmed. What will happen
10,
with that?
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Green flag, start of the formation lap. Start of the formation lap.
What is now confirmed this morning, alongside the very different 8-race calendar for the FI World Endurance Championship next year, we can talk about that in the main race coverage later, is the confirmation, long understood confirmation, that LMP2 will leave the World Endurance Championship, will be retained here at Le Mans alongside the regional series. And that will therefore leave a hypercar and LMGT3 World Endurance Championship. What we understand is that the teams running the GT3 cars, their customer teams, will be nominated by the manufacturers. Little doubt in my mind that BMW will nominate WRT. Why would they not?
Seems likely, and should they do so, I think we've got every opportunity of seeing Valentino Rossi progressing from Michelin Le Mans Cup into the World Endurance Championship.
Okay, reminder to all teams, at T27, stop tire warming and form up in 2x2 formation. At T27, no more tire warming, no more zigzagging. Take your grid position.
So the car's being released now onto the latter part of the Circuit de la Sarthe. It will be a full formation lap, as you can hear from race control. They will then form up for the grid, and as long as race control are happy, we will get race 2 of the Road to Le Mans. And race 3, if you like, of the 2023 Michelin Le Mans Cup will get underway in front of a huge crowd. Not race morning for Le Mans 24 Hours this year. That's been the traditional place for race 2. That's because tomorrow you have all sorts of commemorative exhibitions and on-track happenings for the centenary.
Yeah.
And the good part here is that these teams and drivers will be able to partake. Oh, there's trouble there for the Frickadelli Motorsport car. Now that's bad news. It's going to get underway.
Yeah. I think just missed the breaking point there.
Well, that's another of the teams, by the way, starting their professional driver. That is for Felipe Fernandez Laza, Frickadelli and Felipe, and trouble as well for, I think that's the 52 Ferrari 488, one of the AF Corsa cars. That, again, that car gets going. The Frickadelli Motorsport car, a team already with a 24-hour race win under their belts with the Nürburgring 24. That was literally as the car came off
Delayed in a formation lap, cars delayed in a formation lap may get back their position before intermediate 2. If it's not the case, you drop at the back of the line.
Okay, intermediate 2 is basically the exit of Mulsanne corner. So if you haven't got your place back in the queue, and you've got to remember who was in front and who was behind, because you probably didn't pay attention to that, because the team put the car where it was supposed to be. So the team will have to work on the radio with their drivers to try and get those spots back. So the 21 United car having a bit of an issue there as well.
Yeah, that's let's have a quick look. 21 car, still a problem for that. The 52 car.
Now that car, as you can see from the nose, that car had quite a sizable shunt yesterday.
Make sure you enter the pit lane. Car 52, please make sure you enter the pit lane.
Yeah,
okay.
So he's being told by race control he may not go around.
This is frustrating for this team. They were part of the multi-car shenanigans yesterday, and it looks as if they're going to struggle to get away on time for this race too.
And that's, you know, a huge drama for the team. All the anticipation, all the preparation to come to Le Mans. They didn't complete a lap in race 1. Looks like they may not even start a lap in race 2.
Car 52, please enter the pit lane. Car 52, please enter the pit lane. Thank you very much.
Okay, that's a quick look at Jerome Policond, the pole sitter in GT3, and Jerome, better known, well, as a racer in his own rights in the past years, but now as the team principal, team owner of Akkodis ASP, one of the most successful GT3 teams running AMG products, but through a friendship with Vincent Voss and his team at Team WRT has been paired as the bronze driver with silver-ranked Valentino Rossi. There is the doctor waiting, I'm sure with a little bit of anxiety, but he's hiding it well.
I don't know. This is a happy place for Valentino Rossi. He's had so many good results here on 2 wheels, and just coming back to this, and to be part of to be his first race weekend at Le Mans on 4 wheels as part of the centenary. There's a lot of people who would have given their eye teeth to be able to do that, to be part of the centenary weekend. and he's doing it. So I'm sure he's feeling as relaxed as he looks, actually.
So what cars to look for in the melee we're about to experience? Torsten Kratz there in the second place car, the white, red and black car in the colours of Wochenspiegel, the newspaper owned by the team owners of that car. Torsten is one to watch, one of the fastest bronze drivers in there. And looking back down the order, we have got Wayne Boyd starting back in 23rd place. Led the race on pace himself in the 23rd place 23 car. Watch for that car coming up. Felipe Larza in the car we saw in trouble at the Ford Chicane. That's one to watch. That's in 26th place, just behind the GT3 pole sitter. And as I said at the start of the show, James Winslow down in 55th place, another of the professional drivers aboard the LMP3 car that is way down the order.
The line is looking good. The line is looking good. Please make sure you keep the gaps as close as they are currently.
52 team, of course, have been able to rebuild the car's bodywork and suspension. What they've not been able to do is run it.
Reminder, Marshall post 27, stop tire warming and get your grid formation. At Marshall post 27,
that's the exit of
tire
Vantage,
warming.
isn't it?
Yes.
So
not turn 27, which you said initially, which is the final corner in the Porsche curves, but Marshall's post 27, which is the exit to Arnage. By that time, he wants everybody coming down that run on the old public road to be in 2x2 formation. So this is the exit of Mulsanne corner. Long, tightening right-hander that brings the speed right down from knocking on 175, 180 miles an hour maybe for the quickest cars, down to about a 40 mile an hour minimum.
these little cars, they may look a little bit a junior version of what you're going to see in the Le Mans 24 Hours tomorrow, but they are quick, they are powerful, they've got real grip, real aerodynamics. And the GT3 cars, let's face it, some of the base models there, much the same, albeit with a little bit more driver assistance and a difference in balance of performance with the GTE cars. And again, you'll see tomorrow, these things are quick.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
These are going to be impressive.
Anybody who's watched GT3 racing needs no introduction. Whatever discipline of racing it's been in, it always produces close action. The balance of performance ensures that. We've got two different brands of chassis in the LMP3 category. Predominantly, most of them are French-built Ligier, the company originally founded by ex-rugby player and Grand Prix ace Guy Ligier.
Reminder, Marshall post 27, stop tire warming and assume grid position. Exit Marshall post 27, stop tire warming and assume grid position.
And the Ligier have the sort of dished nose. You can see the sort of hollow, concave nose there. The half a dozen Duquesne chassis, originally Normas, look just a little different.
I've made myself clear enough after Marshall post 27, no more zigzagging, no more zigzagging after Marshall post 27. We are now under assuming grid position.
So this is, we're looking back towards the exit of Arnage. Now, we're hearing the race director, you're hearing the race director, the drivers aren't.
Any car which is still tire warming from this point on will be reported to the stewards.
So it is inherently the team's responsibility to remind their drivers about the rules and about the reminders we're getting. Now he wants everybody to close up. The cars are turning off the old public road and into the permanent racetrack, the Porsche curves.
Please close the gaps, assume grid position, close the gaps and assume grid position.
Maxime Martin there with the drink, chatting and laughing with Valentino Rossi. Again, part of the enormous Belgian talent pool at WRT.
Close the gaps, no more tire warming, close the gaps. Leading car has been instructed to go 70 kilometers per hour.
Okay, which is 45 miles an hour, to slow the field down, to back them up behind the front rows, because everybody else, as you can see, has made a lot of space. A lot of the heat generating in these tyres is done by hard braking and accelerating, particularly the braking effort, which builds heat in the front discs, the rear discs, and transfers that into the rims and then to the tyres themselves. And so you need space to do that, and that's why weaving is not being permitted now, and particularly surging forwards and backwards won't be a good idea. Fifth car on the grid, by the way, is our top female driver, Belen Garcia. She's in the 360 racing entry, so that's 3 cars back on the right, as you see it behind the red and yellow pole sitter.
No overtake before the line, no overtake before the line.
So just hi to Blanca de Foronda, who will be watching that intently. Leading car is pulling away. We are getting ready for race 2 of Road to Le Mans here, the Michelin Le Mans Cup at Le Mans in the centenary season. It is the CD Sport car, Fabien Michel, who leads them to the line. Torsten Kratz with the white highlights alongside him, WTM by Rinaldi. Then Adrian Keeler for Cool Racing, the grey car, and Jacques Wolf, Racing Spirit of Le Mans, with the turquoise highlights. That is the front 2 rows. They should be released now, they are. 13 laps or 50 minutes, a 2-driver race for our LMP3 and GT3 cars. Torsten Kratz on the inside, but sweeping around the outside from 4th, 5th, 6th on the grid. Who's going to make it safely through under brakes? Torsten Kratz takes the lead. The Racing Spirit of Le Mans car goes out wide and across the road. It's Cool Racing in 2nd place. CD Sport, the pole sitter, down to 3rd. Torsten Kratz from Adrian Keeler and Fabien Michel. Graham Goodwin looked like a relatively clean start so far. So let's hope they manage to maintain that for the opening lap at least.
Let's hope so. That was a great start from Adrian Keeler, but Torsten Kratz toughed it out with a bit of a brush between him, between Keeler and Fabien Michel. But Torsten Kratz kept to his plan. There's trouble there. That's one of the Virage cars. It's the 58 car that's gone around after contact.
Well, Martin Rich, yeah, he started in 13th place. Both Virage cars were, or 2 of the 3 were moving up well, but Torsten Kratz pulling away. Battle for 3rd place. Again, the CD Sport car, Fabien Michel under pressure from James Switnam. So Switnam on the inside going through for Graf Racing with the blue highlights, and he's up to 3rd place.
Movement there too in that pack with the 2nd CD Sport car and the 360 Racing car. Terence Woodward seems to have got ahead there.
M Racing in trouble again. One of their cars spun and is plunging down the order.
Is that MV2S?
Yeah, gets going again. And you can see the GT3 leaders have gone through. You saw the BMW has survived this time, but HCR with Caffeine 6. Tim Creswick has grabbed the lead, and that's the Porsche with the bright pinky purple nose. And that car very successful in yesterday. And again, the CD Sport car getting shuffled down the order. That's Belen Garcia going by Fabien Michel for 4th place in the chicane.
Good move there. A little bit of elbows.
Somebody had a monster lockup going in the background. That's what the trail of smoke was. Looked like the Patrie de France, but not. So somebody's going to have some very, very badly damaged tyres on lap 1.
Side by side as well in this little pack. Up the inside goes, that's the Team Tour car. That's Auden Gudmundsson going wheel to wheel with the 39 Graf Racing car. And the Icelandic driver makes that move.
Yeah, the flag on the end plate that you don't recognise, blue background with red cross with white surrounds. That is the flag of Iceland. Tiny nation, big ambition for that team. Wouldn't be surprised to see them moving up into bigger machinery sooner rather than later, but he's in the middle of a battle as well. We've got Team Virage's Julien Gerby and Louis Saint-Juan for Cool Racing right behind and right alongside now the Team Thor car. So that's the Graf Racing car of James Switnam coming back. Then the yellow car, that's the Virage machine of Julien Gerby, and the Cool Racing car right behind, the grey colours there, Cool Racing's Louis Saint-Juan.
So a great little battle there between Gudmundsson and James Switnam.
And the problem now, you can see the CD Sport is 2nd CD Sport car down right behind them in 10th place. The problem now is if you make an attempt at a pass and it goes wrong, that whole queue is going by and you've got to try and find a way back in. You're just going to be hung out to dry. You can see exactly what's happening there. Somebody on the outside hung out to dry. There's the Team Parker Racing Porsche, the pale blue car, number 40. And that is currently in 7th or 8th position in the GT3 class. There's the Mercedes that went so well yesterday. The pink nose, the pinky purple nose, that's the Porsche, just gone out of shot. That's our GT3 leader. So here is Mercedes versus BMW for 2nd, Graham.
Yeah, Tim Creswick leads the way in the GT3 class, but it is George Kurtz in the Winwood Racing number 57 AMG ahead of Jerome Policon, has dropped back, but is sticking with the white Mercedes here. Under pressure from behind, though, from Honor Rabat in the number 10 Racing Spirit Le Mans, Aston Martin. So it is Porsche, AMG, BMW, Aston Martin, Lamborghini, and then for the first of the Ferraris.
And behind that Porsche, 24/7 Motorsport, Andrew Ferguson under attack from Sebastian Page in the Graf Racing car, the United car of Gerald Kraut. So right behind there, that's the blue highlights, and there's the Lamborghini across the curbs on the inside.
And hit because it was the Aston Martin took the curb. the final element, so there was a bit of give and a bit of take, and a bit of too much taking there. That's left them under pressure for the Ferrari behind. It's two abreast with the Ferrari tucked in behind, but then two more cars behind. GT3 here is as close as it's ever going to get.
Hiroki Hamaguchi in the Lamborghini. Has he gone in too deep under brakes? He sort of hasn't, and everybody else jumps the chicane, but he makes the best of that.
He looked the ones that might not have made it, but it's the others behind him that didn't.
Yeah, in fact, both the Aston Martin and the Ferrari lost places to the black and red Porsche that has swept through, so that's the car of Marco Siefried. Now, if anybody is going to know how to make up places in a Porsche, it's Marco.
Yeah, another of the pro drivers coming up through the field here. Cracking stuff so far, and it's been relatively clean. There has been some bodywork brushing a number of places. There is Felipe Larza.
Team Thor car in the background. You can see the nose vibrating. That's going to start coming a little loose.
Yeah, Felipe Larza, by the way, up into 8th place from, what was it, something like 31st on the grid.
Yeah, that's the number 30 Fricadelli Racing Team car.
Keeping an eye too on what's going on with Wayne Boyd is in 9th place. So Lars has gone by Wayne Boyd.
Goodmanson on the left-hand side at the top of the picture in the Team Thor car. He's had to pull out of the way. People are streaming by him. That's not good news for the Icelandic driver.
No, that was a car that was in potential podium contention. Remember, Colin Noble still to come in the Icelandic flagged effort. This is Wayne Boyd and Felipe Larza in the white and red, and the United dark blue and red car catching up now with Julian Gerby. This is a battle for 7th place, but it's actually a battle for 6th place, because James Sweetnam is ahead of all three of those at the moment.
Here
holding for
Gerby down the inside. Fantastic action from him down into Mulsanne corner. That's a very bold move.
Larza, look at Larza as well, and watch Wayne Boyd. Look to see how this one all turns out.
Three wide and trouble. Gerby spun out, and it takes the Fricadelli car out as well. So the door open there for United Autosports. Wayne Boyd, I think he probably picked up 3 places there. Yellow flags waving on the entry to Mulsanne corner, and drivers coming in blind will need to obey them. Ooh, spin turn from Felipe Larza in the Fricadelli Motorsport car, but he must have lost a dozen places there.
I don't think there's going to be a way from there for Julian Gerby. More damage, I think, on the number 16 car than the Fricadelli car suffered, but it's cost a lot of time to the German flag car.
Down there where the green flags and green lights are on the left-hand side as you left of it, that's once where the signalling pits were before radio made it all the way across the forest down to Mulsanne corner. You'd had a telephone line to your crew down there to hold out a pit board to the driver.
Lest we forget, by the way, Julian Gerby still stopped there with damage to the rear of the car on the right-hand side.
It's not a problem with the driver. You can see him trying to get the car to refire, but that's not happening. The Fricadelli car, though, now with the HCR Porsche. So Graf Racing's Paige Sedgwick right in front.
So Tim Kresick still leading the GT3 class. Fricadelli Racing car, Felipe Larza has dropped all the way back down to where he started the race, actually. Torsten Kratz, by the way, still leads this race by 5 seconds from Adrian Keeler. And Belen Garcia up into 3rd place now. A great run from the 360 Racing driver.
And we talked about the number 3 DKR Engineering LMP3 car at the start of the race, a long way back down in the mid-50s on the grid, and that is still trying to work its way through the leaders in the GT3 category. So it's been a long work in progress. This is lap 3 of potentially 13. There's your race leader.
Yeah, the race leader, Torsten Kratz, finished his race early on with damage to the front and rear of the car. Just saw the Team Tour car there pulling off into pit lane, has made it back there. But that's bad news for the podium sitters yesterday.
Too early for a pit stop as well, so they'll have to fix the nose on and then come back in again for the driver change later in the race to Tony Wells. Here's a battle for position. Fricadelli car trying to recover.
That was a hefty biff in the side on the 24/7 motorsport car from Lars at 59, and one of the anti-Europol cars on the left-hand side here. So yet another drama for Team Virage. Their race has fallen apart, hasn't it?
Yeah, they didn't have a great day yesterday. 59 Team Virage cars, Oscar Bitar.
Went out. It was the Nielsen Racing car, Tony Wells involved there as well. So it was trouble for the 59 car by himself, and then a car-on-car incident between the Nielsen Racing car of Tony Wells, that's the 7 car, and the Inter-Europol car.
Blue car here, United Autosports, Wayne Boyd is 4th. CD Sport, the red and yellow, that is Fabian Michel, who started on pole. Now, he's starting to find his feet again now. 2 cars ahead of battling for 3rd place, or 2nd place, Cool Racing and 360. The race is being led by nearly 8 seconds by WTM by Rinaldi's Torsten Kratz. He's got plenty of history in these cars and on this track.
Yeah, Torsten doing a great job here. He's 8 seconds to the good and not quite matching Wayne Boyd's lap time, but it's only tenths between the two of them. Boyd in 4th place, but 9-10 seconds back.
Louis San Juan in the grey car just made up a spot. He just jumped ahead of James Swetnam in the Graf Racing car.
Slow zone.
Yeah. Okay, so this is to clear the car of Julien Gerby, I guess, at Mulsanne corner, but there may also be something at Arnage because that slow zone goes a long way through there.
So this will be just a moment for cool heads coming into that slow zone. Remember, a lot of relatively inexperienced drivers in close contests. And look at this GT3 race.
And look at the LMP3 cars trying to come down the other side of the main road between Le Mans and Tours, the N138, or the Ligne Droite des Unaudières, as we call it for one weekend a year.
The GMB Motorsport BMW there, the father and son Poulsen car, the second car with the red mascot workwear and McDonald's livery, one of the more familiar NSX Hondas that earned the Danish team there the entry into Le Mans 24 Hours with their new Aston Martin. So running 3 different makes of GT car, that little team here this weekend.
Team Thor back out of the pit lane.
Steph
reports to us with the nose fully fixed. Let's take a look at the start again. 3 wide behind at the line. There might be a penalty for that slightly advantageous start.
Great start from Torsten Kratz. We didn't see what happened with the Virage car.
Virage and into Europol all together there, green and yellow of into Europol.
It was contact side by side between one of the Europol cars and Martin Rich. I think that was Martin moving over on him, to be honest with you. I think the car was already there.
That's all 3 Team Virage cars in trouble.
That was the smoky moment you spotted Martin into the second chicane. It's recovered by the number 5 car, another car that was out of the race yesterday.
And then Julien Gerby in the yellow Virage car battling for 3rd place at that stage. Got his nose in front, down into Mulsanne corner, but unfortunately a really random lunge from behind. Austin 3rd place was a little further down the order. Took out Gerby and the Fricadelli Motorsport car.
Little too much elbows all round in amongst that group, wasn't there?
Yeah, that late lunge down the inside did not go well. And again, you sense there may well be a penalty to serve for that. And this is everybody trying to use the same bit of road. That's Hamaguchi.
That was the 2 cars over
in the Lamborghini.
That's a little bit of airborne action for the Aston Martin as well. It ended up basically on as even almost, and there was a bit of a biff in the side.
Yeah, they just about avoided major carnage. There's Vincent Vos in the cap, who runs the WRT team.
So the order, as we just get this thing all sorted back out, it is Torsten Kratz leading this race from Bella Garcia now up into 2nd place. Adrian Keeler drops to 3rd. Wayne Boyd is right there with those 3. There is the gap as they come through this slow zone. So Kratz from Garcia, from Keeler, from Boyd, from Fabien Michel, Jacques Wolf, Luis San Juan, James Sweetman, Daniel Kilowitz, and Miguel Gustavo are the top 10 in LMP3 and overall. Then in GT3, it's the number 86 Porsche from HCR with Caffeine 6, Tim Kresick at the wheel of that, head of George Kurtz, who has a United Autosports LMP3 car between himself and his GT3 target. Hiroshi Hamaguchi's recovered up to 3rd in the Arnold Lynx Lamborghini. Arnold Raban in that number 10 Racing Spirit Le Mans Aston Martin. Team WRT, the 46 of Jerome Policon, started from pole. He's in touch still in 5th place with Valentino Rossi still to come in that car. Then it is the IMSA LS Group Porsche, and that's a Marco Seefried right from the back of the grid up into 6th.
There is a 2nd slow zone here. As they come out of the chicane, they will enter the slow zone back down to 80 kilometers an hour. So a brief bit of racing, then basically the positions, the gaps between the cars should be frozen because everybody enters the slow zone and leaves the slow zone and continues at the same speed in the middle of it. So all of these gaps should remain fairly constant.
2 slow zones still in operation. We did have noticed that slow zone in the early part of the lap would be withdrawn, but that's now going to continue.
There's our GT3 leader,
Great
Tim
run for
Kresick hands over to Anders Fjordbach, and they're starting in the same order as they did yesterday afternoon. Anders Fjordbach held the lead right till the last racing lap when the BMW got through, but they have got a big advantage here. The Mercedes in second place at the moment, I beg your pardon, in fourth place at the moment. The Iron Lynx car, the green car, up to second. Racing Spirit Le Mans Aston third. Then Winwood Racing did quite a lot of leading. You see there's a different rate of slowing down for some of these drivers. They haven't been entirely aware that the slow zone was there.
We've still got to remember some quick guys to come in this second part of this race. A lot of these teams started the non-professional driver. We saw that great battle as we watched Tim Kresick leap over the curbs and the number 86 HCR by Caffeine 6 car. And if you're back to come in that, what a great late race battle it was between him and young Max Hesse, the BMW junior driver.
Yeah, Max Hesse in the second BMW run by WRT. That's a sort of grey and white checkered effect. Headlights flashing, the 23 United Autosports car. Here comes Wayne Boyd on Garcia Belen Garcia rather. This is for second place, and she hangs on into the chicane. And Wayne Boyd has got a lot of experience in Michelin Le Mans Cup racing. He's got a lot of experience in the United Autosports LMP3 car. He's got a lot of experience here at Le Mans as well. So he has the advantage. And Belen Garcia hanging on right now. He's in the tow. He's got all the advantages. He's got the knowledge, the experience, and the slipstream. He's going to try and dive bomb her into the second chicane as our leader goes through. She's making him go the long way round the outside. She needs to hold her nerve. No, she tucks in, and maybe discretion is the better part of valor there. He was starting to creep around the outside on the grippy part of the racetrack. So that's probably a decent decision from her, just to let him go as they head into the slow zone.
Yeah, and she can learn a lot here. Belen Garcia coming into sports car racing. She had a couple of one-off races. And
trouble behind!
That was a mistake coming into the slow zone, I think. It was a multi-car incident, certainly a car hard into the barrier on the inside on the exit of the second chicane.
That is exactly the problem.
There it is.
Somebody did not get on the brakes as somebody in front did. That's the number. Well, we're also
12.
seeing 39, Graf Racing James Swickenham dropping down the order. That's the number 12 car.
There's a car in the other barrier on the other side as well.
So the contact is further back, where you see the red and yellow car there.
And there's a lot of debris on the track there as well.
Again, Jacques Wolf, very experienced in Michelin Le Mans Cup racing. So known what he was doing.
I think that was coming into the slow zone. It caught somebody out.
Agreed. And again, you see the cars coming out of the chicane. Now, they're coming out the chicane. The barriers are higher than the driver's eye line. They're hard on the gas. And slow zones move. I mean, the zones don't move, but they either are active or not active. Valentino Rossi suiting up and getting ready. Where are we now? 17 minutes in the race remaining. So the pit window should be started, rather.
17 minutes in.
Yeah, in. So the pit window will be open probably by the time they get round there.
Got a quick look there at the heavily damaged 39 car of James Sweden. What a shame. Two cars going very well, and Sweden had a great start to that race. So one or other or both drivers caught out by the slow zone. It was a safety car coming out now.
It was starting to build up to that sense of inevitability, wasn't it? Now, what will happen is that the safety car will remain out until everybody has had a chance. Sweetenham clearly ran into the back of the number 12 car, and I would imagine that he was still hard on the gas up to the start of the slow zone, and the car in front may have been braking earlier, because normally when you run into the back of somebody, it's because they're slowing down faster than you expect. So I'm afraid both drivers out on the spot.
So James is looking for guidance as to whether or not he can cross the track or needs to get to a place of safety on the outside. Look, he's good enough to be able to leap the barrier. That's good news. That was a heavy impact. But two cars clearly out of the race. Valentino Rossi suits up. With the cars at this pace, we're going to be getting into the pit window very, very soon.
Yeah. So they will, I would think, almost the entire field will peel in from the pit window. There's Jacques Wolf. He's out of the car as well. That's good news too.
That car's done. Damage the rear of that car, which matches, as you quite rightly say, damage the front of the Graf Racing car. So two more cars, I'm afraid. It was 55 of the 58 that started the race today. We saw the dramas for the number 52 Ferrari. That, in fact, it was therefore 54, wasn't it? But we had the 20 and 24 non-starters. That was Andy Merrick's car from yesterday with that big impact on the pit straight, and the Team Parker racing car, we saw Alex Martin have that big moment at Corvette corner into the wall on the outside. So neither of those two cars made the start, but everybody else did. A little bit battered and bruised, some of the cars after battle yesterday, but so far pretty good race. Maybe a little bit too much contact, but most of it without major drama. Unfortunately, a few more dramas in the last few minutes of this encounter.
You see there our leaders in GT3. There's James Winslow.
James Sweetenham.
James Sweetenham. Again, not portioning blame to him or the car in front of Jack Wolf, because it's entirely possible that cars in front of Wolf checked up early and he had to stop, and then, you know, it's that concertina effect you get quite often on motorways, where a long way behind the initial moment, somebody else has nowhere to go.
Pit entry is open. Let's see whether or not anybody comes and takes that opportunity.
Leaders have gone by, so WTM by Rinaldi has gone by the pit entry.
I think we're a little early for the window.
Well, pit entry is open, though. It's the teams are being told, so
they can come in. It doesn't mean they can come in and make their compulsory stop. No one is a taker yet. So I think we're not quite there. I think it's 23 minutes.
Okay. Well, there's your race leader, WTM by Rinaldi Racing. And again, that Wochenspiegel livery, fans of racing on the Nordschleife will recognise that immediately. Very familiar livery, very experienced team, Rinaldi Racing. United Autosports, Wayne Boyd in second, 360s, Belen Garcia in third, ahead of Ajahn Keeler in the Cool Racing number 87 entry. CD Sports pole sitter Fabian Michel still in fifth, and of course behind the safety car the gaps have shrunk to absolutely nothing. So Torsten Kratz was hoping to come into the pit lane with a big advantage, and he had done everything he could do. He was the better part of 10 seconds in front of the United Autosports car, Wayne Boyd, after Boyd finally managed to work his way past Belen Garcia last time round.
So recovery underway for the two stricken LMP3 cars at the exit. The second chicane run down towards Mulsanne corner. That's the 52 car. The 52 car has
left the pit
belatedly
lane.
Started this race.
Well, down in the pit lane is Steph Wentworth. Steph, I think it's going to get very, very busy very soon.
Yes, it is about to get very busy down here. You are absolutely correct. The teams are getting ready, the drivers are getting ready, seats ready to jump in the car once the pit window starts to open. But it is worth remembering that this is a very, very tight pit lane. Yesterday in the first Road to Le Mans race, the race was actually won from the pit change. Team Virage were able to jump the United Autosports during this pit stop stage. So it is very, very important and tactical when to enter the pits, as it is so tight.
Well, most of our leaders have gone by, but you will have traffic coming in. We saw a few cars coming in from the tail of the GT3 field. So AF Corsas, Hiroshi Kazimo, Team Thor are back in for their drive. Now, that might sort of help rescue their race. Of course, they're a long way behind where they were. There's the final impact, or the legacy of the final impact of the incident that has brought out the safety car.
There's a big bunch of cars, 2 and 3 wide, coming out of that chicane. I think that's what caused it.
Yeah.
Jensen Button-like, isn't he, James Sweetenham? But I think that's taken the wind out of his sails a little bit there.
Yeah, you know, very deflating to be caught out like that. Jacques Wolf as well, very disappointed. Not just because of the incident, but because he, they're out of the race.
This is their Le Mans.
It's the big one for them. And also in the greater scheme of things, particularly for Jacques Wolf, you know, there's points gone begging there, and they were hoping to add to their opportunities to score here. So first couple of pit stoppers are in and out. Out goes the AF Corsa car of Laurent de Meers now, who's at the wheel of the 52 Ferrari, and that will be, for fans watching trackside, coming back a long way behind this queue, but suddenly it will go very quiet and the Ferrari will basically be on his own while the rest of the field pits. So it's going to be interesting to see when he comes back. He'll be at the front of the safety car queue and everybody else will join behind him. So the Ferrari, that might be a work of absolute genius, because if the entire field peels in now, and most of them will, the Ferrari that's just stopped may well come right back out. There's the Team Thor car.
He is, though, basically being reported to the stewards for erratic driving in the pit lane.
Ah, okay. Well, probably trying to find where his team was as much as anything else.
I think that's exactly right, actually.
Yeah, I wouldn't be at all surprised. Don't forget, this is a pit lane that has got 58 teams in it, and he's trying to find one.
coming past the incident site. What a great job the marshals have done for clearing that debris field. It was absolutely strewn with bits of carbon, but clean as a whistle now.
One of the downsides of modern racing cars is that carbon fibre does shred into needle-like bits and pieces, which of course aluminium and glass fibre never did back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, noughties.
Well, looking at where things stand, just waiting for when we... If Colin Noble has been released from the pits, and he has, he will join the back of this queue and has not lost a lap.
No.
So everybody else in front of him is going to pit.
Now, what will happen now, I'm sure, is the race director will keep the safety car out until the entire field has pitted, and then we will go back to green. That gives all of the other jobs work to do. You can see the flatbed there ready to pick up the first of our damaged cars, and then the truck with the second one. That could probably tow.
I think so.
But
the point here is, though, Martin, everybody in this field that we're looking at here still needs to pit. Colin Noble has pitted. He will rejoin the back of this safety car queue. Everybody in front of him will then pit. He will lead the race. He will go, if this goes the way I expect it to go, from 50th position to first within the next 2 laps.
Suddenly not being at the front of the queue may turn out to be the best thing that's happened to him at Le Mans.
Well, Colin won't be able to believe his luck.
For everybody else in the field, and you're looking here at the GT3 leading Porsche, for everybody else, they're all going to go in at the same time, then come out at the same time. So it will be down to how positions may change in the pit lane. Now, we saw a lot of penalties yesterday for cars that had not stopped for the minimum stationary time in the pit lane.
Yeah, I was just about to say exactly that, with apologies for the interruption, because I'm looking at the lap time counter, or the pit stop counter, and I think Colin Noble is a second short in his pit stop.
Jump starts as well, being penalised for 4 different cars. No hard feelings, and they're just going, well, what happened there? Oh, mate, it was just a solid wall of cars as I came out the corner.
It was that guy. He did it. He did it. That one there.
Yeah.
The red one.
And actually, you know, Jack Wolf is experienced enough not to be checking up early for a slow zone. He knows how these things work. It's not his first time around this rodeo, so he will have known what to expect. But again, when you come out and there's cars stationary, and they may well have all been locking up in panic because somebody further up the queue had locked up too early, then yeah, sometimes it's the law of unintended consequences that catches out the innocent parties.
So have Team Tour just thrown away a win. Just 1 second shot. We'll wait and see. That's a decision with better data than we're going to have for race control. But on the pit stop counter that we've got, it's 1 minute and 59 seconds on pit road for Team Tour, and I think it's a 2-minute pit stop that's required.
Well, in which case, they may well have a time penalty added.
And they too have been reported to the stewards for erratic driving the pit entry road. And I wonder whether or not that was them waiting.
Late coming in.
Well, waiting for the pits entry window. I wonder if it's that.
Well, we would, again here, that it is not communicated directly to the drivers, but when on the timing screens in the pit lane it says pit window open, that's when the teams get on the radio going box, box, box.
Yeah.
So it may well have been a really late call, and it might have been sort of a half dive across the grass, and again, if you don't come in clean between the white lines, then you will get reported for that. There may not be a penalty, but it happened and it will be reported.
We'll call it as we see it right now. It is Torsten Kratz leading this long train of LMP3 cars ahead of Wayne Boyd in the, so it's the WTM by Rinaldi, number 33. Duquesne leads the field, head of the 23 United Autosports, Ligier of Wayne Boyd. Belen Garcia, great start to the race from the 360 Racing driver, the XW Series racer, 25 Ligier, Cool Racing 87, wins of Adrian Gila. He's been in the thick of things from the very start, ahead of Fabien Michel in the CD Sport number 2. That's your top 5.
I tell you what, for Belen Garcia, what a difference this is to the same cars in a small single-seater pack on a purpose-built race circuit in W Series, to come here where it's like all arms and elbows. Okay, most people are in the same car in LMP3, but she's got a car that's got more power, more weight, more downforce, and a heck of a lot more opponents to deal with as well in a field that stretches down. I mean, look, you know, it's stretching down as far as the camera can see, never mind as far as the eye can see. Into the pit lane comes
all of them.
Well, everybody.
Yeah.
Oh,
we still said
well,
before.
no. Was that
did somebody
into Europol? Did Interpol just go by? Was there a flashy yellow and green that didn't come in? It looked like he sort of ducked out of the queue the way the Mercedes did yesterday and opted to go round again. I think if you make that choice, then on your head be it. If you don't make... Has anybody not pitted? It just looked like a bit of...
I know what you mean.
And again, maybe it was just he was going, oh, what's going...
I don't think there's a lap car in amongst them, so keep an eye. It's going to get very, very busy here. It isn't time for cool heads. In two regards, the car controller, in terms of making sure there's a safe release, and the person looking at the stopwatch. It is nobody behind the Billy No Mates Porsche 911.
And again, the race director will have told the safety car driver, right, anticipate everybody disappearing. So he will continue. Pedro Casero, I think, will continue at the same pace that he's been told to maintain. And then, okay, the pit exit window light will now have gone from red to green because the safety car queue, such as it was, will have gone by.
So Team Tour lead the race now. Colin Noble has made his way around to complete the lap.
And the AF Corsa Ferrari that stopped on the first lap as well now has Kai Cozzolino in it,
Great.
and that is the GT3 leader in the queue.
So exactly what we thought would happen, so they can turn off Only the Lonely by Roy Orbison and their safety car CD player at the moment. But both of those cars reported to the stewards for what was described as erratic driving in the pit entry. So we'll wait and see what comes from that.
Look at it. I mean, look at the way everything is stacked here.
This is going to be quite the scene at pit exit.
That's the Rinaldi car being prepared for exit. You can see the door open on the BMWs. Valentino Rossi being strapped into 46. You can see the grey and white car in front. And again, the teams are having to manoeuvre the cars around as much as they can, pull them back in. This is 360s. Belen Garcia in from third to hand over to Mark Richards.
This is an interesting strategy for Murphy Prototypes from absolutely nowhere. They've left after 38 seconds. I think they're going to pit again next time around. I think they've tried to get out as quickly as possible and then we'll come in again. Now, I don't think that's going to work for them.
Can you add 2 short pit stops together to make one?
No, but they can come and do a 2-minute stop, having done the driver change.
Oh.
But I don't think it's going to work for them.
Can you do a driver change that doesn't take 2 minutes? I mean, what are they going to do in the 2-minute stop? Just stop for 2 minutes?
Just sit there for 2 minutes, but at least it keeps you out of the chaos.
Okay, well, there's some very radical thinking going on. There's the safety car queue. Team Thor, the GT3 leading AF Corsa car of Kai Cozzolino behind Colin Noble. And in third, Murphy Prototypes, Dan Scodopole.
Just looking at other teams under 2 minutes here. One of them is the James Winslow car. He stayed aboard that car unless the driver indicator has not worked. There is the ever so lonely safety car queue. There's the Murphy Prototypes car third.
Starting to grow.
Then it comes to the W10 by
Yeah,
Rinaldi
so
car.
Leonard Weiss at the wheel of that car, who was, that was the car that was the leader. Then
Costa
United
Kratz.
Autosport have put John Schaumann in. They're now in 4th place, and Cool Racing's Cedric Ultramar in 5th position as the most damaged of our 2 cars that were strewn by the wayside at the second chicane is removed.
Yeah, there's the look of something of a drunken sailor on the back of that, doesn't it?
Yeah,
sadly.
A lot of damage to that Graf
it is,
Racing
but it was
car.
good to see that the racing spirit that surrounds the Road to Le Mans still survived. There is Auden Gudmundsson, our Icelandic racer. Showed me, last time I spoke to Auden a little wee while ago, showed me a picture taken from his front room of the volcano down the road erupting.
Oh, right, okay.
I think it's just a garden feature.
Free hot water.
Yes.
Yes, little known fact is that the streets of Reykjavik, despite the cold of the Icelandic winters, never get snow on them because they all have underfloor heating courtesy of the natural hot water of this volcanic island. So yeah, they literally have underfloor heating in the streets, on the pavements of Reykjavik.
I love it.
It's like the Dudley Moore line from 10. How small an island was it? You could do wall-to-wall carpeting.
Yes.
They've got underfloor heating for their capital city.
Auden decided late to come back another crack at this. They told me at the end of last season, maybe not a return, but clearly a change of heart. They switched to the high-class racing team to help this effort, and obviously a late signing as well of Colin Noble. Whilst we wait and see what happens from race control, at the moment, they lead the race overall.
Yep.
After an extraordinary series of events. loose bodywork, we think, possibly after a brush with another car.
It definitely was. You could see the whole front of it was wobbling around. So the mounting clips, not the mounting clips, the retaining clips had clearly got popped out, or at least one of them had, and it was just flapping about quite clearly.
Well, if they win this will, you know, they've already had a podium yesterday, second place after the exclusion or penalty rather for the initially winning car. That, for me, must be the best ever result in Icelandic flagged car in an international motor race. If they win this, Colin Noble will be, I think, registered as a honorary Viking and carried shoulder high through the streets of Reykjavik.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure we'll enjoy.
Now, not least of which...
Snow-free streets of Reykjavik.
Not least of which, I'm going to enjoy hearing the Icelandic anthem, which I absolutely, to my knowledge, have never heard or encountered before.
Someone would be shuffling through the CDs, won't they, on the podium?
And that's despite all the years of doing the Icelandic Off-Road Championship in the early days of Eurosport. Ask your father. Again, still the most absolutely, one of the most absolutely barking sports you've ever seen, and still enormously popular in Iceland. That, and also driving cars across lakes in the summer when they're not frozen.
Yeah, there is, by the way, another car under 2 minutes. It's the number 8 Graf Racing car, 1 minute and 58 on pit lane. Again, I suspect we'll be hearing from race control about that.
Yeah.
So we will wait. That is their call, not ours. We can call it as the tubbing screens and the pictures see it. Right now, it is Colin Noble, a previous winner of this championship with Nielsen Racing, now with Team Thor from Iceland. He leads Kay Consolino. Both these cars in trouble on the early part of the race, both pitting early. That, because they're in recovery mode, gave them a massive advantage of being able to pit after the safety car had passed, but within the pit window, which none of the rest of the cars got. But we believe that both of them are potentially in trouble with the stewards.
In this lap, safety car in this lap.
Away we go.
Another potential penalty, 1 minute 59 in the pits for James Winslow in the number 3 DKR engineering car that's currently in 21st. But our leaders, our class leaders, build up to speed. Having seen the way Kai Cozzolino races a Ferrari in the World Endurance Championship, he may possibly be going for the lead here.
Kai is, I think the word spirited.
He likes a race.
He does.
He does like a race.
Remember, yourself, myself, and Anna McNish thoroughly enjoying the, how can we put this, lesson doled out from Kai Cozzolino on none other than Giancarlo Fisichella in door-to-door racing at Fuji a few seasons ago, which was Kai saying, "This is my backyard, sunshine, and we ain't going to be putting up with any of your nonsense." And great fun it was too.
It was absolutely hugely entertaining. So he is leading the GT3 class and second overall. I don't expect him to finish on the overall podium.
Back to green.
Back to green we go. Did Cozzolino dive into the pit lane there? No, he didn't. He's in second place.
Oh, Weiss went a bit wide there through the second element of the Ford chicane. That would have compromised him slightly. John Schaumann gets through cleanly.
Good shout, Graham. Murphy Prototype was the car that dived into the pit lane from third on the road, second in LMP3. So they're going to do a long stop now. They got themselves out of harm's way, but they will now be joining a long way behind everybody else.
Just realised exactly what happened. He didn't find his pit stall, did he? That's what he did. He drove through.
He drove through without changing drivers.
He could not find his pit stall. I'm sure that would have been it.
Well, now it should be easier since he will be the only car and they will be waving wildly at him. You're right, that might well be the case. And even in the full Le Mans field, in free practice, we saw a car missing its garage. One of the Peugeot drivers went straight by its garage. So let's get back to the action. Cool Racing on Cool Racing.
It was 97, 87 side by side. David Drew, Cedric Ultramar. David Drew, the old hand. Cedric Ultramar in his first season of LMP3.
And here comes the CD Sport car. That's Kirill Small going by Mark Richards in the 360 machine. And now having a go at the first of the Cool Racing cars. So he's got great speed at the restart, goes by Cedric Ultramar, and that makes him in 6th position now. The CD Sport car that started on pole. Further back, all arms and elbows.
And more to the point is the GT3 battle behind between the HCR by Cavian 6 cars through. That's the Rinaldi Racing car, Steve Parrow, I think, bailing out of that one.
Yeah.
It is Vincent Abril and Anders Fjordbach this time battling out for what is currently second, with Kai Cozzolino still second overall in this race. There he is, about to lose that second place to the Leonard Weiss pedal 33 Duquesne.
Not making it easy, as we expect.
No.
The Ferrari, I mean, apart from the fact that the Ferrari isn't bothered about the be-all and end-all of the LMP3 battle, he just wants to keep his speed up. He wants to stay as far away as humanly possible from anything else in GT3.
David Drew goes through into third in LMP3, fourth overall.
Kirill Small is also charging up the order in the CD Sport car, isn't he? That is the #2 machine that started on pole.
Yeah, he's managed to get past John Schaumann. Schaumann trying to defend, but here comes Cedric Altremar looking up the inside. There's not a lot of room there.
Late on the curve.
Schaumann gives best there and loses one more place.
And that's the experience of John Schaumann. A less experienced driver might have eased over to the curb, but knowing that the driver was on the inside and on the dirty runoff area, John Schaumann gave him room to survive, and that gave himself room to survive. He's going to lose another place here, though, as 360's Mark Richards goes by.
Frantic stuff in the middle of the leading pack at the moment. John Schaumann doing what he can to defend the ground that was gained for him by Wayne Boyd. A lot of that advantage lost, of course, with the safety car, but John Schaumann fends off that attack. He'll be having a ball here, loves his racing round the outside. They're beautifully done there by the 360 racing car.
Yeah, there's the 360 car trying to come around the outside now. That's the car started by Belen Garcia. 25 car, and that is Mark Richards. So it was, who was going by the United car? It's M Racing's Sasha Lehman. That was the white car that I couldn't quite identify.
That was my misidentification.
No, I led you down the garden path on that one.
So Colin Noble leads, may have a penalty.
Oh.
In trouble, and it's 3 cars in trouble. It's Klaus Hamlin this time, plus the 13 from Inter-Europol competition, and the MV2S car behind.
Yeah, 4 cars involved. There was a United car in there as well. So Ralph Kellener's, well, no, it wasn't him, it was Lehman, Sasha Lehman. And again, here comes Mark Richards, goes by John Schaumann, but look at the gap as Schaumann has held them off all the way from well, Indianapolis, basically. Mark Richards goes by in the 360 racing car up to 7th place. United has got everything in the field in both mirrors in John Schaumann's car. He's under real pressure there and gets bounced by the CD Sport car. That was a really random dive, I'm afraid, in the second part of the chicane, and Schaumann just trying to make sure the car comes back in one piece.
So it did well to fend off pressure told, and maybe the pressure a little bit too physical there.
Yep. Awful lot of very busy racing going on here.
Josh Skelton there in the light blue Nielsen car, the 2023 partner for Tony Wells.
17, you saw a little further back, that's Edex Sport. They claimed pole in LMP2 yesterday in the hyper-cold pole category.
This is going to be the incident we saw at Indianapolis. Up the inside from 13 car, little bit over-ambitious there, hits Klaus Abelin.
Well, he was trying to pass the GT3 Mercedes, but as a legacy of that, stuck his nose on the inside where nobody was expecting him to come.
That was overly ambitious. That was Santiago Concepcion Serrano.
And there's the Stella Motorsport Audi, just about squeezing by an LMP3 battle. What do you know from the pit lane, Steph?
I've just seen number 8 and number 74 come through on drive-through penalties. Just come straight through the pit lane and exit straight back onto the racetrack.
All right, so everybody in trouble there. We saw the Aston Martin at 6s and 7s on the grass in the S's, and again, Team Virage in trouble. The 59 car getting contact and being turned around there.
Second time in trouble for that car in this race, the 59. And that is the Martin Rich car, isn't it?
Yeah. Number 3, potentially with a short pit stop. That is the DKR car trying to work its way up the order. It's Alexander Buksadov on at the wheel now.
Sorry, it's the 58 car is the Martin Rich car. The 59 car has, though, had trouble earlier in the race.
Yep.
That save, by the way, from Valentin Haza-Clos was epic. Got well on the outside after trying to avoid issues at his chosen line. And all the way out of shape and managed to get the car back. Heroic stuff. Side by side here, Josh Skelton and the 26 car. That is Tommy Foster.
Into the slow zone. They are behind the Ferrari GT car of Kai Kotzolina, who still leads in GT3. So that's 360, both cars, Mark Richards and Tommy Foster. Then CD Sports Frank Chapar, And then Josh Skelton for Nielsen being caught by Jerome de Sadelaire for MV2S. Race is still live here. Valentino Rossi.
Well, Rossi, and I'm looking at the line behind him, it includes Senna Fielding in that Audi, but Jan Magnussen and Andrea Montemini in that group as well.
Yep.
The two ex-Formula 1 drivers in this group.
Vincent Abril, ex-Bentley Works GT3 driver as well, right behind Valet. So Valentino Rossi all over the back of Anders Fjordbach.
This GT3 battle is going to be fantastic at the end of this race if we get clear running. We've got 10.5 minutes to go to come through the slow zone. Work rapidly going on with the two most heavily damaged of the LMP3 cars involved in that incident.
Yeah, into Europol, as you said, Santiago Concepcion Serrano in that number 13 car. That car already using the roof mountings that they have for this special lifting equipment that we use in all ACO rules racing now to allow marshals to move cars with even no wheels as quickly as possible.
Yes, Mathis Poulet, by the way, in that number 29 MV2S car that was left with nowhere to go other than the side of the 13 car.
There's our GT3 leader. There's the Team Thor car that leads the race. Colin Noble did have a 6.5 second advantage over Leonard Weiss in the WTM by Rinaldi racing car. That will come down. Well, in fact, it won't come down because we haven't got a safety car. So he goes green immediately. He's the first to do so.
Away he goes.
There is the gap to the battle for second. And don't forget, the Ferrari leads GT3, but is still 6th overall.
May still be carrying that potential penalty, remember. Watching as well the progress up the order, down in 22nd place overall at the moment, Matt Bell, the race winner yesterday after that post-race penalty, but making progress rapidly.
Battle for second place, Leonard Weiss with a red and white, and behind him David Drew. That car finished on the podium yesterday as well, or today. It finished 4th yesterday, became 3rd today as the leader was excluded from yesterday's race, or penalised out of victory just a few minutes before this race began. So Leonard Weiss hanging on for WTM, and David Drew in 3rd place, attacking hard.
Sasha Lehmann's got a problem. He's dropping rapidly down the order unless we've got a timing glitch with the M Racing car that's right up there in the battle for podium positions, but he's tumbling down the order right now.
Now, just occasionally, when you've been on the limiter in these slow zones, it does not release, and you're just punching the button furiously, and it's not happening, and you lose speed, so that might be their issue. Team Thor's Colin Noble still leading. The gap is 7.5 seconds over the battle for second, Rinaldi versus Cool. There's the battle for second in GT3. Anders Fjordbach in the pink and purpley blue, the graduated Porsche. Team WRT's Valentino Rossi. What was the last podium Valentino had at Le Mans, I wonder?
Checking that one,
Right, somebody Google that. But they're all sitting on their phones doing social media in the background. That's Valentino Rossi. He has had a phenomenal success rate here. This was one of his most successful, one of his most favourite tracks, I think. And there's, even in the bike world, there's something special about coming to race at Le Mans. There's Vincent Voss watching the action from the WRT garage.
Don't count a win here for Rossi. Rossi 3rd on track, trying to get onto terms here with Anders Fjordbach ahead, but the AF Corsa Ferrari way ahead of this pair, potentially carrying a penalty to come.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. That's right now.
Trouble for Vincent Abril, he's pitted the Lamborghini, so that's one potential contender out of this battle.
That's had a lot of trips over the curbs. And that was battling with Winwood Racing Mercedes of Russell Ward. So Guy Smith, our commentary colleague, is right behind him now as we watch Valentino Rossi shaping up to have a go at Anders Fjordbach. Fjordbach with a lot more experience of GT and sports car racing than Valet.
Confirmed now, 1 second stop-and-go penalty for cars 3. That's not in the running here, that's Alexander Bekantsov, but 77, the race leader, will be coming down for a 1 second stop-and-go. That is going to hand the race lead to the 33 WTM by Rinaldi racing car, and trouble for the 11 City Sport car at the first chicane.
And that's why Valentino bailed out of the move at the chicane. Here he comes on Anders Fjordbach. Now Fjordbach with the inside line, because the next chicane goes right, left, right, rather than left, right, left like the first one does. But Valentino Rossi is sitting there. He's got the advantage. Can he use it? Can he sweep around the outside? Metaphorically dangling his leg as he gets onto the brakes. It doesn't work here, but he's really piling on the pressure. This is for second place in the GT3 class, but it may end up potentially, if there is a penalty for Kai Cozzolino, being for lead in GT3 and therefore for another win in his illustrious career at Le Mans.
Beautiful bit of slipstreaming here from the Italian superstar, and as Fjordbach though absolutely is aware of all of those moves. He's a long-time GT driver, longer time now in LMP racing. Another driver that we'll see in the Le Mans 24 Hours. It's a further stop-and-go penalties. They come into the slow zone, and that is for the Graf car that did a 1 minute and 58 seconds.
Did you mention drive-through penalty for Kai Cozzolino for erratic driving? That is our GT3 leader.
Right. So that's the GT3 leader. That means that this is going to be sorted out very swiftly indeed. I'd expect the 77 car to get a similar penalty, so it may be 2 penalties.
Oh, well, here's the battle for seconds. That was the change. The cool racing car of David Drew, again, around the outside. That's what Rossi was trying to do to the Porsche, and it didn't work for him, but David Drew just hung on there, had enough on the exit to ease.
Beautifully done.
Yeah, ease Leonard Weiss rather, out onto the white lines.
Weiss, though, coming back here. Doesn't quite make it, I don't think.
Well, look, they're both super experienced, these guys. They've raced against each other a lot in the last 2 or 3 seasons, so...
And then coming into the slow zone, but Weiss won it, lost it, won it again, forcefully but absolutely fairly into Mulsanne corner, hard on the brakes for the slow zone. Waiting to see Colin Noble complete this lap. He should come down pit lane, at which point this will become behind the battle for the lead.
Yep.
Similar position for Kei Cozzolino. Going wide there, that is the number 5 car. Yes, it was. Kansov.
Oh, there's the leader in GT, and right behind him, Valentino Rossi comes through on the inside. He saw what's shaping up there, knew where the LMP3 car was going to go. This is great stuff, and don't forget, the end of yesterday's race, the first race here.
That was compromised there, coming out of that. I think there might be a run here for Valentino Rossi.
Well, he can't tuck back in, unfortunately, because there's an LMP3 car there, and that will help the speed of the Porsche ahead of the BMW, because the Porsche will, with the LMP3 car, will be getting a little less air.
Through there, this is cracking stuff. This is going to be the battle for the lead and for the win in race 2 of Road to Le Mans today.
It is the same car that led in the closing stages yesterday, but a different BMW that is right behind. This time Valentino Rossi with a chance to win over Anders Fjordbach. Fjordbach runs out really wide there. I mean, really wide there. Rossi is piling on the pressure.
Great stuff.
Are the leaders on the final lap, or is this the final lap?
This is the final lap, and Colin Noble has opted not to pit.
And Rossi diving to the inside.
Will Cozzolino pit or await the time penalty that inevitably follows?
Okay, so this is now the final lap for our GT3 battle. Colin Noble leads from David Drew and Leonard Weiss in LMP3. And Kai Cozzolino will also not do the drive-through this time round. He will get a post-race penalty, and that makes this the battle for GT3 honours. HCR, who nearly won yesterday but were beaten by WRT, and the other WRT car, again, trying to do exactly what they did yesterday, and that is snatch the lead on the last racing lap. And here comes Valentino Rossi showing his nose down the inside. This is a bit of the track he already knows from MotoGP. He goes through at Tertre Rouge. Has he got the drive? Yes, he does.
Brilliantly done, brilliantly done. Brave place to go for that, but cleanly done. Anders Fjordbach had no way to come back to that. Now it's about Anders Fjordbach tucking into the slipstream of the BMW. Now what's the Porsche got?
Well, the Fjordbach is now going, they've done me again on the last lap. No, not this time. But the LMP3 is coming streaming by on the straight and limiting his options. That LMP3 car means he can't go inside, outside. He has to follow Rossi. Waved yellows because of that stationary car. And outside, oh, it's a different stationary car this lap, but still a stationary car.
2008 was the last time that Valentino Rossi is a much better run out of the first chicane. He's got this done at the moment. 2008, his last win here at Le Mans.
That is a long, long time.
He's not going to cross the line as the winner, but there will be a penalty to come for Kei Cozzolino. We've seen that penalty called on the screens. He's chosen to take that as a time penalty later. He's got it done. He's made the gap. This is the run through.
Now the Ferrari has dropped down the order a bit. Oh, big moment there for Anders Fjordbach. I wondered whether it's because Valentino might not have slowed quite as much in the yellow flag zones, but Anders Fjordbach had a little moment to sort out on the way into the chicane there. Lots more battling behind. There you can see Leonard Weiss, Kirill Small, and this is Josh Skelton, Tommy Foster. And
Josh Skelton, by the way, is going to get a post-race time penalty here for a clash with the number 7 car. No, his is the number 7 car, causing a collision earlier in the race. That might just hurt him against the Nielsen team car, because Matt Bell is back up to the top 10.
There is the 69 car. Is that on the lead lap? It's not shown as... Can't be not on the lead lap, surely. Why am I not... Why does it say 69 on to my
69
eyes? And it says 26
is the
Tommy
racing
Foster.
car. That's way down.
That is a lap down, isn't it?
No, it's not. It's a timing glitch.
Oh, it is? No, it's popped back up onto the timing
is a
screen now.
timing
So that
glitch.
is Sasha Lehmann,
Yeah.
ahead of Tommy Foster in the 360 racing car.
So Foster up into 5th place at the moment, but carrying, we believe, a time penalty that will be added post-race. So we're going to see, with 32 seconds on the clock, it is going to be Colin Noble that takes the checkered flag, but we think we'll lose that win with a penalty not served for... it was a stop and hold for 1 second for a short pit stop, but Colin is going to get at least to see the checkered flag. That says last lap, and it wasn't the last lap. He made the lap with 10 seconds to spare.
Well, I think they had sort of pre-anticipated when they would get to the live incorrectly. Kai Cozzolino.
It's flagged.
It has been flagged. It's shown on the screen as checkered flag, so all sorts of confusion going on there.
Because Colin Noble was carrying a time penalty.
Okay, so Colin Noble's still shown. Oh, so it's not actually shown as them being checkered flag. This is now the last lap. Drive-through penalty for car 51 for erratic driving.
Right, let's reset. Sorry, timing screens are rather confusing us here.
Yeah.
We're going back to calling what we can see. It is going to be one more lap for Valentino Rossi to hang on. He is running second on the road, but with a penalty to come for the car ahead of him.
Vincent Voss in the WRT garage there going, what on earth is going on? And Valentino Rossi trying to go by the United Autosports car now. That is Guy Smith. No, that's John Sharman. Guy Smith, his teammate, has got in front of him. So that's how far down the order John Sharman has slipped. And Colin Noble, how far ahead? 3.2 seconds.
Enough.
So the gap is coming down. Now, he can't serve that penalty.
No.
That is going to cost them a podium finish.
It is. At the moment, Colin Noble running in the lead on the road for Team Tour, ahead of the Cool Racing 97, which we believe will be shown as the race winner when we get to the podium ceremonies.
Now, don't forget, Colin Noble is getting none of this. He's not getting any of the instructions or the penalties that we're being notified about unless the team are telling him.
Correct.
And if the team say, stay out and we'll argue the toss later, win the race first, argue the toss later. Oh!
There's trouble for the number 10 car, the race winner in Barcelona in GT3, Valentino Hazzaclo.
Contact from behind, got spun around.
And that's dropped him way back down the order. That's not great for their championship ambitions.
Well, that's still, yeah, that's 14th place in GT3 now, unfortunately.
David Drew is well away here in second place, has pulled away from Leonard Weiss, who's under pressure from the CD Sport car for what should be the second podium position. Nielsen Racing's Josh Skelton in contact there, but another car we think is set to serve a penalty.
Yeah, possibly. Also, Sasha Lehmann shown as stopped.
Matt Bell,
the M Racing car dropping down the order. We'll have to use eyes on that. That's the white car. Vincent Voss has got a touch of the Christian Horner twitchy leg going on there. But could this be a second Le Mans win for WRT's GT program? Their sister car won yesterday in GT3, ahead of the same second place Porsche. And again, it looks as though Valentino Rossi is going to put the team on the top step of the podium. In the background, you can see the other BMW, in fact, and that's now up to second place.
Yeah, because falling back in the order has gone the HCR Caffeine 6 car, now down into fourth place on the road.
Yeah, because the Winwood Racing Mercedes has gone by. Russell Ward has gone by him as well.
Just gone up the inside of him on the run down to Indianapolis and has put, I think, the Porsche off the podium as things stand. But we're coming now through the final part of this lap, Martin.
Yep.
Team Tour will call it again at the end of the race.
Eventually, we're going to be right.
Eventually. There's Odin Goodmanson. He will know what's coming here, I'm afraid. Colin Noble may well not, but he's pushing on regardless. They'll take the penalty at the end of this race. But it's been a stellar run from Colin Noble. It's absolutely clean as a whistle. Through the Ford chicane for the final time. The 77 for Team Tour will take the flag, but with a penalty looming, it will lose them this win.
Yeah, Colin Noble does all that he can do, which is drive his heart out here at Le Mans. They are first to the flag, but with that penalty looming over them, it should be victory for Cool Racing with WTM by Rinaldi in second, and CD Sport, the pole-sitting car, in third from Nielsen. United M Racing in fourth place. And in GT3, well, again, Kai Cozzolino's Ferrari will be first to the flag, but the winner is almost certain to turn out to be Team WRT's Valentino Rossi. It will be a BMW 1-2 because Max Hesse, who took the lead for the team yesterday and claimed victory, is now up to second place.
So yes, it will be Valentino Rossi with Jerome Policon to take the win. Kai Cozzolino has already crossed the line, but with a penalty looming for erratic driving. That's for all they know. They absolutely know.
Some very happy Valentino Rossi and WRT team personnel.
Should also be Winward Racing to complete the podium there. We'll see what the time penalty that is assessed works out to, but that's the 1, 2, 3 expected to be WRT, and Winward Racing, BMW, and Mercedes-AMG. And more importantly for the headlines, Valentino Rossi, first win at Le Mans in 15 years.
Wow. Wow.
And one must be now one of the very few people to have won here on 2 and 4 wheels.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point. Well, here is the battle that was pretty much stint long for Valentino Rossi and Anders Fjordbach. Vale only getting by Fjordbach a lap and a bit before the end of the race. Having to work very hard for that. Anders with a lot of racing heritage under his belt. I mean, Valentino has as well, but much less so in GT cars. The boy, he knows how to overtake.
This is the overtake for the effective lead. It was brilliantly executed by the Italian on the day. Put the BMW where Fjordbach needed to be for the optimum line through Tete Rouge, and that's a brave place to do it.
Yep, there was the reaction from the team, applauding that, not just the move up of position, but the way in which it was done. And again, for Colin Noble, he's had a lot of success here. He's had a lot of tough races here as well. I remember him ending his dropping out the lead, or top 3 certainly, a couple of years ago, and rattling the barriers on the run up to Tete Rouge and at the end of the S's.
Yeah, Colin, long career in LMP3. He's got all the bruises to prove it. He's had race wins, he's had title wins, but he's also had the disappointment.
Kurt Mollican's there with the headset on, who's running the GT3 program here for WRT and also in the Fanatec GT season.
Well, they'll hope this bodes well for what comes tomorrow and on Sunday in the big race, the Le Mans 24 Hours. But what a way to start, a second win for Team WRT in the road to Le Mans.
And it tells you a lot about Valentino Rossi, that he has definitely been the standout performer in a car where his teammate was the super experienced Jérôme Policon. Well, another all-action encounter for Road to Le Mans. LMP3 and GT3 cars, very nearly 60 cars taking the start here on Friday morning at a packed Circuit de la Sarthe. And from the front row, the CD Sport car that started on pole position immediately dropping back as Rinaldi Racing took the lead from the outside of the front row. Torsten Kratz using all of his experience and racing ability. Contact between Inter Europol and Team Virage at the beginning of the first lap of the race. And Virage not having a great race weekend here. Team boss Julien Gerby being tagged out at Mulsanne corner as well in the battle within the top 10. There's a whole host of different slow zones. Their car and Inter Europol also having separate incidents at the Dunlop chicane. Safety car was brought out. It's a great race in the GT3 category. Aston Martin and Lamborghini action getting just a little too close. Both survived in the Ford chicane, not without a little bit of racing rubbing. And then the safety car brought out because of an incident in the approach to a slow zone on the Mulsanne corner. 2 of the cars in the queue being caught out in the peloton. Things triggered up very quickly as cars in front checked up. Fortunately, neither driver injured, although it did take a couple of laps to sort out the debris, and no hard feelings. They were victims of somebody else's error. What it did mean was that there was an almost whole field round of stops behind the safety car. A few positions changed, but the WTM by Rinaldi racing car coming out in what was at that stage second place, but with the car that had stopped earlier, Team Thor, being a second shy on their pit stops, they would serve a penalty. More trouble late in the race down at Arnage, 4-car incident. Luckily, our GT3 leaders managed to make it through. Not everybody did. So Colin Noble for Team Thor, running away at the front of the field. They stopped a lap before everybody else, but they have had a penalty assessed and they lose that victory. Cool Racing now the winners from WTM by Rinaldi and CD Sport. Kai Cozzolino, first GT3 car to the line, similarly losing his position, and Valentino Rossi claiming victory for Team WRT. WRT 1-2, Max Hesse taking their second car across the line in second place, with Winwood Racing's Russell Ward taking third in the Mercedes. So there is confirmed our LMP3 winner, and that is the 97 Cool Racing entry.
Yeah, assessed quickly by race control. We thank them for that. With the timing now changed, Luis San Juan and David Drew it is, taking the win in race 2 here for the Road to Le Mans out of the 2023 24 Hours of Le Mans starts tomorrow. WTM by Rinaldi Racing, Torsten Kratz with a cracking run at the start of this race, and that run completed by Leonard Weiss, and it is the CD Sport number 2 car. Kjot Smile bringing that car home to complete the podium. M Racing, Sasha Lehmann, a good run to the 4th place. United Autosport, Scott Andrews and Jerry Krautz, and the 22 car 5th. 360 Racing's Tommy Foster 6th, and lots of... That's Luc Alphonse.
That is Luc Alphonse. Again, a man who converted to racing cars very successfully from racing other things, in his case, skis.
Good to see him looking well.
Yeah. And raced here in the big race at Le Mans. He's done Dakar. He's done all sorts of different kinds of motorsport.
Yeah, the number 7, 4 and number 7 Nielsen Racing cars, 7th and 8th, Zedex Sports, 17, 9th, and A&S Motorsport with a good run to 10th for the number 6 Ligier. In GT3, WRT BMW is 1-2. The fairy tale results for Valentino Rossi, which you say his first win, 2008 here on 2 wheels, and I'd love to see if anybody else has matched that achievement here. Wins on 2 and 4 wheels.
Yeah, the only people I can think of would be Mike Hailwood and John Surtees. And
Sahil Ayari, who does take part in the 24 Hours Moto here. Or has in many years. There is the overall classification. Yeah,
confirmation of that, and of the 58 cars that left the pit lane, 49 have come back intact. Cool Racing, WTM by Rinaldi and CD Sport will have their moment on the podium. M Racing's car in the end back up to 4th place, the car finished by Sasha Lehmann. And in GT3, a long way up the order, Valentino Rossi taking Team WRT to victory, a team 1-2 with Max Hesse in the second of their BMWs in second place, and rounding out the top 3 in that class, Winwood Racing's Mercedes, Russell Ward bringing the car to the flag.
So yeah, 1, 2, 3, BMW, AMG completing the upper orders in GT. It was the HCR with Caffeine 6 Porsche. Tim Cresswell and Anders Fjordbach in winning contention until the very last stages. Lippert Motorsports, number 70 Lamborghini. That car comes home 5th. GMB's first car home. Jan Magnussen brings home the first of their 3 cars, and this one the first of the 2 Hondas. The second Lippert Lamborghini comes home 7th, and 8th is the 55 GMB car. That's another of the Hondas.
Now, I should know better than to try and do maths live on air, but I think that their results here move Anders Fjordbach and Tim Creswick in that Porsche into the GT3 Drivers' Championship lead.
Well, they will get maximum points here because the 3 cars ahead of them are not full championship entries.
In which case, I think that's absolutely certain. The leaders after race 1 were Honor Robin and Valentin Asiclo, and as we saw the Aston Martin getting turned around, dropping down the order. In the LMP3 driver standings, Gillian Orion and Julien Gerby were the points leaders. Again, they only earned 4 points yesterday. I think they might even end up with a big fat 0 today. Owen Gudmundsson and Colin Noble were second in the points, 8 behind. They're not going to score strongly. nor will Hugo Delacour and Guillermo Mora de Oliveira. So John Melson, Matt Bell.
That's looking pretty good, isn't it?
And Fabian Michel and Kirill Small, who were 5th in the points.
Remember, John Melson and Matt Bell won the race yesterday after that late post-race penalty, and they finish here in...
Well, that's their total points haul for the season.
In seventh place, so that's another reasonable points haul.
Yep.
They're going to be in contention at the top of this, and it's going to be a very different look when we get into the post-Le Mans part of the season, which is now the vast majority of it, with the cancellation of the Imola round. There is Nico Lapierre. He is the team principal of Cool Racing, and he'll be enjoying this. It's become something of a hatchery for talent for Cool Racing, and they've been using their LMP3 programs. That's Alejandro Juani, by the way, in the other white Cool Racing CLX Racing t-shirt, the man behind that, the business side of this. They've been using it as a great hatchery of talent, and not just in terms of the quality of drivers, but the business aspects of running a pro race team, and some very happy faces there indeed.
You can see there in the overalls on the right of your picture, Fabian Michel and his teammate Kirill Small at CD Sport. They started this race in 5th place and in the overall points, and scoring a 3rd place finish, that will move them up into the top 3 in the LMP3 driver standing. So they're the big winners in the lead group of LMP3 driving crews here in this second race at Road to Le Mans. All looks like it was pretty warm work out there. Again, we've got a little bit of an overcast day. Storms are forecast for later today, and maybe rain on both days of the Centenary Le Mans. But for these drivers, they've had very hot conditions, very hot track to work with in both the LMP3 and the GT3 cars. So for both of them, congratulations. Cool Racing have been anything but cool in the car. I think they've had really hot conditions to race in, but a great result for them. There's the CD Sport guys. They're looking pretty happy with themselves.
Well, they can now relax for the rest of the weekend, can't they?
Yeah, exactly. And do you know what? Whatever support category you're racing a whole load of similar drivers in often very similar machinery, if not identical. And to step out there on the top step at Le Mans and be able to smile down at your team, that has got to be one of the greatest feelings you will ever get in your racing career. I don't care how professional you are or how much of a newcomer you are, it's still going to be a massive, massive moment for all of them.
Would add, by the way, that we do talk about one of the great prizes in motorsports is the opportunity to race at Le Mans. This year, more than any other year previously, certainly in my time here, all of these guys have got another prize. They've actually got a ticket to Le Mans, and they will be here for many of them for the main race tomorrow. But right now, these guys are going to get to stand on one of the most iconic podiums in the world of motorsport. Completely remodeled, by the way, for this season, with a fantastic new backdrop to it. And that's a delighted Vincent Voss, quite like they should be.
Exactly so.
Never changed, doesn't Vincent. He is, despite all the success and all the pressure that comes with that, he is still as affable and approachable as he ever was.
Yeah. A racer here at Le Mans in his professional career as a driver, and has come here certainly more to, not quite as many times since actually as a team owner.
That is our new backdrop, the electronic backdrop to the podium. Quite the experience for anybody that gets to stand there on merit. And we're about to see 12 drivers get to do just exactly that.
Yep.
Cold, again, this is the effective green room. Drivers get a little bit of rehydration. Gail, the LMS event manager.
Last time I was in that pre-podium room, it was the end of the FIA GT1 era at Le Mans. Alan Minish and his teammates were celebrating success and quietly contemplating what might have been at the other end was Bob Wallach, whose car finished in 2nd place. And yeah, there were tears of joy in one end of the room and different kind of tears at the other end of the room. I think he knew that was probably his last best chance to win overall at Le Mans, and as it turned out, as close as he got. Yeah.
Yep.
So, but and that's always the deal when you're in that podium room. There's always one set of winners who are even happier than the rest. And to walk out onto that podium again, it's something that Valentino Rossi knows. But as you said, Graham, hasn't been out on the podium at Le Mans since 2008. So that's a long, long drought at one of the tracks that he's always loved to race so much at.
Well, he raced that well, and that was as clean and as clinical a pass for what was effectively the lead as I've seen in the Road to Le Mans for some time in a GT car. Puts, as I said, the car beautifully, just exactly where Anders Fjordbach knew he needed to be, and that did two things. It took the position, but it also compromised the Dane's line through Tête Rouge and meant that he had enough of an edge that the slipstream was not going to be a problem. Beautifully done.
Well, unlike his MotoGP days, I don't think Valentino Rossi is going to emerge from a porta toilet somewhere around the circuit on a slowing down lap wearing a Superman outfit, but we always tend to end up waiting for Valet. You never know. I tell you what, if he ends up winning the big race at Le Mans, oh boy, I think there's going to be something very special happening. But we're waiting for him, among others, to appear here.
I've not seen Valentino in that room.
Nope. So he may have popped off for a sandwich or a can of something, who knows. The WRT team will be waiting for him to come. For WRT, big result with a 1-2 result in this race.
By the way, 49 finishes in that race, despite some of the carnage, we saw carnage. It was still 49 finishes of the, I think it was 56 starters.
Yep.
And, some good racing as well as some multiple incidents in that 50-minute encounter.
Again, it's a 13-kilometre circuit, but when you're starting 60 cars all together, then there is very little room for...
The affable Monsonvos. Literally turning the camera.
Yeah, it's not just us that he recognises. He knows all the camera crews a lot better than us, actually, because he spends a lot more time seeing them.
It's one of the pleasures of dealing with Vincent. I mean, I reported on Vincent as a driver back in the day, at the start of this century, which it gets ever longer, doesn't it? But as I say, never changes. There's always a smile, always a pause in what he's doing for a greeting for people he recognises. And despite the fact that he is absolutely now at the top of the tree in this sport, as indeed is Nicolas Lapierre, and will go further and higher, Finico, always recognises the camaraderie in this paddock.
And it goes a very great way to enhancing it as well. I mean, it's an enormous part of racing in these championships. Not bitter rivals, hard rivals on track, but really great team spirit off track.
I suggest what we've possibly been through here, as we do it very often at international race meetings, is a compulsory drug testing process, maybe for one or two of these drivers. Here comes the doctor.
Entirely right. So we are going to welcome our LMP3 top three out onto the podium.
Third place is that CD Sport crew, Martin.
Yeah, Kirill Smile, Fabian Michal. Michal started the car on pole position, and they were always in contention.
Second place for WTM by Rinaldi Racing, Leonard Weiss. Torsten Kratz. Kratz with a great start to the race. Couldn't quite do it at the end, though, because that is going to go to Cool Racing, the number 97 crew.
Yeah. Well, David Drew involved in an incident towards the end of yesterday's race with the United Autosports car.
Yeah.
But here, turning all of their fortunes around. Again, like the Rinaldi Racing crew, they're very experienced, these guys. They've raced together a while. Rinaldi Racing crew, 4 seasons together, I think, possibly. So
stint from Luis San Juan. Great run at the front and to the front from the Cool Racing crew, with that late penalty for the 77 car confirming that result, Martin.
And of course, the Swiss anthem for the team. It is a Swiss-flagged team. There'll be a number of Cool Racing alumni probably watching back home in the early hours of the middle of the early morning. Guys like Mo Smith, who's had so much success with Cool.
I think Mo's
is he
here.
indeed? I haven't seen him, but I wouldn't be at all
I
surprised.
certainly got a direct message this morning from Mikey Benham. Hi, Mikey. Hope you're either here with the family or enjoying company with the family at home. They are the reigning LMS LMP3 champions, Belter Jacobsen.
Yeah.
But there you go, another successful crew from Cool Racing. And they're becoming something of an LMP3 super team as well. There have been many in the past. United Autosports, Nielsen Racing as well. But Cool Racing being added to that list. And they'll be delighted to be there.
So congratulations to all three teams and our podium finishing drivers, spraying champagne on each other after a great race at Le Mans, at the Centenary Le Mans. What a fantastic way to enjoy a weekend at this fabulous racetrack. I mean, one of the great things of this Michelin Le Mans Cup is the opportunity for all the drivers, regular season drivers and additional cars as well, to come here and race not once but twice on this fabulous circuit. Exactly the same circuit as the big race we'll use for the Centenary race starting tomorrow afternoon.
I don't know whose idea that initially was, but it's been a brilliant idea, and it has become actually a real firm favourite part of this race meeting. It is a bit different in terms of the timetable this year. Lots of things will be back to more familiar territory in 2024, but nonetheless welcome. Lots of very wide smiles. You can see there Valentino Rossi and Jerome Policond in the middle there are race winners in GT3. We'll see them, greet them very shortly. But another cracking couple of races. Plenty of incident, often do, with the Michelin Le Mans Cup. This is our race-winning Ligier, the number 97, the JSP 320, 5.6 litre Nissan V8, powering all these cars, but that coupled with its extract gearbox brought this one back to victory. Luis San Juan enjoyed that. Green's Graf Racing team member. Race with Graf. Here come our LMP3 podium. And first out is George Kurtz with Russell Ward, the Winward Racing AMG crew, on the third spot on the podium. 57 crew, George, one of our double duty guys. Well, and Max Hesse from the 31 Team WR, Team BMW, and the race winners here, Jerome Policond, and of course the man who's going to get the biggest cheer on this podium, the doctor in the 46 car, Valentino Rossi. We can actually write the headline, Rossi wins Le Mans.
Exactly. You know, situation, a podium he's been on a few times before, and the top step he's visited before, but not since 2008. And actually, for Tim Whale and Max Hesse in the white suits, first yesterday, second today. Still the same bashful kid that was winning Spanish national motorcycle races at the age of 14 quite some while ago. Valentino Rossi claims victory in GT3 at Le Mans with co-driver Jerome Policond and Team WRT.
Someone correct me if I'm wrong, I think that's his first GT3 race win. I think it might be his first GT3 race win. We said during the race yesterday what a massive step forward he's taken coming into this new season in the GT World Challenge, and we saw that not just with the pace, but with the race smarts that came with more confidence aboard that car.
Yep.
And what are the headlines that can be written about Valentino Rossi in this transfer?
Well, where does he go next? Where is the limit for Valentino Rossi? Limits have only ever been there to be achieved and exceeded, so it's going to be very interesting. But to have him here racing in the Centenary Le Mans, one thing, to have him on the top step of the podium in race 2 of the Road to Le Mans, that's going to be an entirely thing. Apart from anything else, like adding Ferrari to the World Endurance Championship and the main race here at Le Mans, adding that billboard name, Valentino Rossi, to Road to Le Mans suddenly exposes it to an enormous extra audience that might otherwise never, ever have come across it. And that's the doctor factor. You know, he's having great time. He's enjoying his racing. He's just as normal as anybody else in the paddock. Just happens to have a global awareness that very few Hollywood stars can match.
And does it with joy.
Yeah.
Does it with passion. You know, I remember, the Goodwood Festival of Speed, where he just bowled over fans the world over with his attitude and aptitude, given his pick of any car in the paddock to drive up the hill.
Yeah.
And just thoroughly enjoyed that opportunity, and he's thoroughly enjoying every moment of this.
He's got the enthusiasm for sport and for racing and for life that he probably had as a 5-year-old, and long may that continue. It would be very easy, where he's been and what he's done, to be very removed and very cynical, and he's absolutely the opposite. Seems to be always perpetually excited about the current challenge and the next one. And what the next one might be, well, the man in the hat there, Van Sant Vos, may be the key to that.
Indeed. What storylines still to come, not just here in the Michelin Le Mans Cup and the Road to Le Mans, but what comes beyond.
Well, there you can see the BMW drivers. We'll catch up with Cool Racing's LMP3 winning duo.
Un adversaire avec son équipe ASP, évidemment, de l'équipe Valentino Rossi. Bravo, bravissimo! Grazie, thanks everybody. It's a great pleasure to come here. Now I got
I think we will stay here to watch the big race.
Steph, Louis Saint Juan and David Drew, they're battling the ambient noise. And one of the joys when you're working in the pit lane under that huge building is that it does reflect back everything at volume. Happy man winning in GT3. And you can hear or see there Jérôme Policon being interviewed by Bruno Vandestick, the speaker here at the Circuit de la Sarthe, a man who since 1992 has been France's voice of Le Mans. And that is it for Road to Le Mans for another year. Their campaign continues here at Le Mans. The next track action will be morning warm-up on Saturday.